gathered here among colleagues and friends, mostly friends, to celebrate the long-awaited opening of this Theragnostics space. And I want to thank all of you because everyone contributed to getting us to where we are now. But particularly on the hospital side, to Sri, Judy, Paolo. On the department side, to David, Gary, Yantine, Susie, and Karina, who put enormous amounts of work into getting us functional with this clinic. I'll keep my remarks short, but I want to definitely acknowledge that this is yet another piece of the amazing puzzle that started when Sam came here in 2003. And when we opened this space in 2010, it was the first time that all aspects of nuclear medicine were under one roof. And so this is for us the house that Sam built for nuclear medicine and for our patients. And I have to, I was thinking that Theragnostics was kind of late. He always focused on early cancer detection, precision health, but he understood that for some patients it was important to have access to Theragnostics, for many of them, in fact, at least in the short and medium term. So once we explained to him the importance, he is fully behind the project, and it was through his great effort that this space, although many people wanted to have access to it, and we'll spend hours if we go over all the iterations for this space, eventually it became what we think it's a great place for healing this Theragnostics area. I will just say that we're very fortunate today also to be in company of one of our father figures for nuclear medicine, Dr. Ross McDougall. He's a dear teacher of most of us here, from whom we learned bedside manners, a lot of other things. So we also want to acknowledge his illustrious career of more than 40 years at Stanford, and all the thousands and thousands of patients that were healed by him, and they still remember him, and every time they come here they ask us to send our best wishes to Ross. One of them was here apparently today, and we'll get that letter to you later, Ross. We're all really here to emulate what we learned from you and to try to provide as close as possible patient care as you did for the many years for the patients here. So at the end we have it from all of us, and hopefully you will enjoy it. I will end, if you walk around the clinic, when this opened in 2010, Sam put a small plaque at the main entrance and at the entrance to the reading room. And it says that this space is dedicated to our patients, and hopefully the state-of-the-art that we have here will help as many patients as possible. And one of his most famous quotes was, the hospital should be, we should celebrate when the hospitals are free of patients, not when they're full. So I hope that what we do here one day will make that vision become reality. And also one of the things that I vividly remember was in December 2019, Sam told us that the most important thing of what we do is taking care of our patients. So with that in mind, I suggest that we dedicate this space to Sam, but also to all our patients and their families. So let's have a round of applause in memory of Sam, and hopefully for all the healing that will happen here. So now I invite Gary and David. Do you want to say a word?
Thank you, Andre. This is an especially moving event for me, both due to Dr. McDougall, who was my pre-medical advisor when I was an undergraduate at Stanford, and later taught me nuclear medicine when I was a resident. And even after that, treated my wife for hypothyroid, and as a result, we now have 3 wonderful children. So thank you, Ross. But in particular, this is another piece of Sam's vision, and I think Andre said it really well, that whenever you're in a meeting with Sam and there was a difficult decision to be made, Sam would always go back to what's best for the patient. And he was really guided by that. He was an amazing scientist, and a truly remarkable person. But this clinic, I think, really is a great tribute to his overall vision and his care for his fellow human beings, because Sam, as much as he was excited by the basic science and discoveries he would make in his lab, he always stressed the importance of translating those discoveries into the real world and making sure they have patient impact. So when I think about Sam, I think about the quote from Sir Isaac Newton, "If I have seen further, it is because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants." And he was truly a giant in so many ways, scientifically, clinically, and as a person. And I'm just delighted to see this clinic here. Sorry that he's not here to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Gary. I'll just say very briefly what a privilege it is to witness this event. This event, as a ribbon-cutting ceremony, represents a transition in time where we see what was an idea, and that's what these are about. Where it's a fiction, it doesn't exist, right? It just exists in people's minds. It's what Sam could see down the road, what others could see, and then rallied around and came together. And then it exists with the support and funding of organizations and leaders who have the faith to build it. And it exists in the minds and the hearts of the people who then come together and do the hard work and do the construction and do the design and get all the permitting and all of those things that are not very fun to go through to come together. And it still doesn't exist yet, right? It's still what we see is just a future in our minds, our collective minds. And then we come to a moment like this where we give honor for those who have brought this idea forward and started to instantiate it and make it happen. And then there's this transition, and then we're doing it. And it becomes reality. And often those who made it possible for us to get to this point aren't here when it happens. And that does happen. And that's what being a visionary is about. And often they know, and we know in these efforts, that we may not be here to make it happen. And that's okay, because we're dedicated to the proposition of it happening at some point, and we're patient and we see the long horizon. And Sam taught us all that, and Andre has taught us that, and Karina has taught us that, and all of you in this department have taught us that, and where we can provide that care that Ross has taught us to provide, and that we can do so in a facility that then can push the boundaries of what wasn't possible before. And here we are after we cut the ribbon, and in the next few days and months and years, we're doing it. So I'm just honored to be a part of it. I salute all of you who have gotten us to this point. I salute all of you who will now take us from beyond this point and take what used to be a fiction, what used to be an idea, now becomes reality and changes people's lives and saves people's lives. It allows families to be together for years on end because of that vision, because of that hard work. So with all of you, I salute you and I thank you and I congratulate all of you.
Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Gary, for having me here. It's a privilege to be here. I'm just going to pull out a card because I don't want to forget some names of people. But before I do that, the first time I heard about Theragnostics and the power of that was when Sam invited me to a retreat. Andre and Karina, you remember this? You gave a very exciting and scintillating presentation. The enthusiasm that you all showed and Sam showed was infectious. And I just couldn't wait for this place to open. And just last week, I think I was doing rounds, and Paolo was the proud parent who gave me a preview and walked me around, and he was so excited about this. So it's wonderful to see it come to life. So I applaud all of you. We must not forget Sam. All of you have said this. Sam's vision is what has brought us here. We will never forget. Aruna, thank you for being here today. And of course, Andre, your passion is what is moving this forward. Karina, your expertise is recognized. Paolo, I've known you for years. Paolo actually helped us stand up South Bay's radiology division when the cancer center was stood up. So you've got a good training ground there. You've done a wonderful job here, so thank you for that. Two people that I don't personally know, but I've heard a lot about them, is Kat Hoffman. So Kat, if you're on a Zoom call, she's one of the APPs that designed the workflow, from what I understand from Paulo. And Elena McKnight, who's one of the medical assistants who also helped design the workflow. And David, you touched on this. There are many, many armies of people. And Robin Severance is the PDNC, for those of you who don't know what acronyms, that's planning, design, and construction. That works, I think, Robin, sometimes a tad slow, some might say, but gets the job done overall, and that's what this is all about. So I applaud all of you. It's a privilege to treat so many patients, and it's a wonderful place, and thank you so much for having me here.
I'd just like to say that we all owe Shri a tremendous debt of gratitude for all of your terrific efforts to make this happen, Shri. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to add more thank yous to all this. Thank you very much for trusting me with this great space and trying to make a clinic out of this. I want to thank the university, the hospital, the Department of Radiology, Andre, Sam, whatever he is. Obviously, my inspiration comes from my days at the thyroid clinic, so thank you so much, Dr. McDougall. There are so many people to thank that have worked to make this happen. As with many other things, this is the result of a team working together. So many people providing great ideas. And I'm not going to name everybody because it's impossible, but I will specifically name a few people that have worked so closely with me to make this happen. And they phone calls and my texts and meeting with me weekly. And that is Paulo. Thank you so much for jumping into this with me and make this happen. Kat, she's a nurse practitioner. She's in maternity leave, and Paulo, the best thing we did was to write that job description that day. We were so lucky. She applied to it. She has been wonderful. And of course, as mentioned earlier, Elena, who also brought a baby to this world during the whole process. And she's definitely the interface between us and the patients. And last but not least, of course, I would like to thank the patients for trusting us with their medical care, because at the end of the day, all this is for them and because of them. Thank you.
All right, well, everyone said such eloquent things and covered everything that I really wanted to say in my heart. But the truth is that there are a lot of thanks to give from visionaries like Dr. Gambier, Dr. McDougall. He taught not just the physicians, he actually taught a lot of us technologists all that we know about thyroids. He went to the VA and actually would give lectures, incredible kindness and generosity of his knowledge. The drive of the physician team, Andre, early on, this was one of your visions too, and Karina, just unending dedication to getting this going, and every day putting so much work into it. Thank you so much. And the technologist team and the nursing team and the MA team, there's just so many people who put work and effort into here for the sole purpose of trying to make life better for patients, and really focused on trying to improve the patient experience and improve the outcome for patients. And we're really hoping that this space is used for a place of healing and really honors what Dr. Gambier's vision is. So thank you.
Hey guys, I wasn't planning on speaking everyone's speeches. Just want to say, he would have been so proud of you guys, the accomplishment, and I think he would have been really, very excited about the opening. I know how he works. There's a vision, And then there's a lot of to-do lists, starting with down to the executive team, then everyone, the doctors, the technologists, all the way to the construction crew, the hospital, everyone. So it happened, and it's so exciting to see this actually follow through on it. And just want to thank everybody. And he could have been a patient here. He could have benefited from here. And so I would say, whoever is in charge here or working with the patients here, just think about it as the patient being Sam, and take care of that patient as you would Sam. Thank you.
It's nearly 60 years since I started out in medicine. Over the 6 decades, I've met 2 or 3 people I would consider are really brilliant. I've met a few more who are totally dedicated to their work and the workplace and the people that work there. And I've encountered a number of spectacular teachers and also a lot of good people. And by good, I mean somebody who's kind, generous, sympathetic, empathetic, and Sam embodies all of these. I think we will only meet one like him in our lifetime, and I'm very proud and privileged that I had a chance to meet him and to work with him, and I hope that everyone will remember him by this year. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for allowing me to say a few words.
If you will.
There's Sam and I right in the middle. It should be Sam in the middle and me somewhere down at the edge. We'll take it as it comes. Thank you. Thanks to everyone and all the people I worked with over the years. But remember, this is Sam's day. So, thank you.
And as we said, that this is dedicated to Sam, but also to our patients. We're very fortunate to have a friend who is also a patient advocate, who did more for the nuclear medicine community than many others. And Josh, so happy to have you here as we dedicate this to our patients and the families. We look forward to your comments.
Thank you, Andre. It's a pleasure to be here. Also to live stream it at the same time is somewhat of a challenge, but I wanted to give you this from the patient community here, actually, in this photo. This is from the NorCal Carcinet community on this clinic. And as I said, you said I was a patient advocate. All patient advocates are patients first. Oddly enough, when I was first diagnosed, I was actually, my first O scan was actually done here. My first biopsy was done in Stanford. And so I have an affinity towards being with the Stanford medical community. And the idea of doing patients first, I didn't get a chance to hang out with or work with Sam the way that many of you did. But earlier this year, or late last year, I was going through my own paperwork, and one of the things as patients, our voices aren't always heard, and we worry that we're not really, part of the equation. And I went through my paperwork, and there was a letter from Sam. He had written me because, in fact, to the radiology department here and give a patient perspective of what it's like to be a patient with a rare disease. And we had a great turnout that day with Andre and Eric, and reading Sam's letter really touched me. And I remember when this clinic was just a twinkle in the eye, somewhere in Barcelona, that Andre and I were walking around, and he was talking to me about this clinic and what would be important to be in it, what would patients need. And that vision, we would keep having these conversations over the year, and had one with dinner with Karina, I think after an Annette's meeting several years ago. And even to the point of, I think it was 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago, I did a Zoom flyover to make sure that it would accommodate patients and that it would have the things that patients needed for their day in this clinic. And so when you talk about putting patients first, you really, in thinking of opening this clinic, have done that. You made sure that we were considered and how we would go through a day of therapy here. And I want to thank you all for this, and really thank you for the opportunity to be here at this ribbon cutting ceremony. So it's always great to travel around the world. We don't see each other when we're here. So it's really nice to actually see you in Palo Alto, because we're not traveling around the world. So thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here.
Let's cut the ribbon.
I'll hold it.
Karina.
Someone needs to hold it.
So absolutely, somebody needs one.
Okay.
Yeah, but look that way.
Very in this hall.
Wait, hold on. No, you can go over here and you.
Yeah, you thought you were going to get it, and I'll just push you in.
There we go.
I'm not going this way myself.
All right, we'll hold.
Yes.
Maybe somebody can hold Karina's phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I cut your phone.
We're so not used to this, right?
All right.
Okay, smile.
Almost. We
Your
can't
scissors
see
aren't
that.
large enough.
That's how we're Good thing we didn't go into surgery.
Not a surgeon.
Thank you everyone for coming, and if you want to see the space, please do so.
And
We
make sure
really
you guys
appreciate
check our
everyone's
brochures
support.
too.
And actually, why doesn't someone take us on a guided tour for those that are actually watching?
Please come on in.
So this is the space, our Theragnostics space. If you see here, this is where the nurses, the MAs, physicians can have some workstations and call patients and talk to patients directly. Of course, we have our actual treatment rooms. We have 4 infusion rooms. These rooms have comfortable chair, TV, space for friends and family if they need to be here with their friends and family. The idea here is that we actually had a photo contest where we had staff from Stanford submit photos that they thought would bring peace to patients, and we had them printed. You can see who took the picture. This is taken by one of our radiologists here. Each room has a different photo, a different staff member.
How many rooms do you have here?
We have 4 infusion treatment rooms and 2 restrooms. In these, we can do, of course, radioactive treatments, but we can also do consult visits. Sometimes our physicians do remote visits from these rooms out to patients at their own home. And yeah, so you can see this is taken by one of our technologists. The idea behind this space is really, you know, the hospital has a lot of hustle and bustle, and what we really wanted was some space that is a little bit out of the way, a little bit more peaceful, and yet still convenient for all of the patients to be able to get to. They can get all of their nuclear medicine care in one spot. So you can see a picture of Dr. McDougall, who talked today. He has been doing radioactive treatments for years here before this clinic was open.
2 of the technologists took the pictures.
And then 2 more rooms. This is actually a picture of the Philippines from one of our other technologists, Crystal.
Paul's idea to have a competition. We all voted. So out of 50 plus great quality pictures. We selected 4 or 5. And I remember Nancy Fishbein trying to say this without disclosing PHI. But someone she knew was here for a stress test and got the stress test out.
This is the 4th room. This is a picture of Yellowstone. This is actually probably the room that we'll use most often for Lutathera's because of the distance to a restroom. We really want to make it as comfortable as possible for patients, so minimizing the distance they may have to walk in between.
But they're designed as Josh said, starting from the patient perspective, what would make them comfortable.
Not using boring hospital colors.
Nice. Yeah. No, they did a fantastic job.
Would you like to say goodbye to everyone, and I'll shut off the live stream? Just thank everyone for being here.
Good night to everybody. Thank you so much